So, episode 6 ended kind of tragically with Jax pushing Pomni away and then nearly abstracting in the bathroom during the awards show. But even though Jax literally said to Pomni that she should leave him alone, we could see that Pomni noticed how strange Jax acted after their fight and that he had to rush out during the awards show. So, this makes me think, what if Pomni is gonna be able to save Jax from abstracting? I mean, Pomni is probably the one who actually witnessed Jax's breakdown firsthand, and even though it seems like he threw their picture in the trash and told her to forget him, she's not gonna just walk away from someone who's clearly struggling, especially when she was just starting to get closer to him and maybe even understand him a little bit. And here's the thing that makes this even more interesting. Gooseworks once said on Tumblr that Pomni doesn't like being touched, but she still hugged Jax, which means that this moment was so significant that she pushed past her own comfort zone to try and connect with him, and that's not something you just forget or give up on. And for a moment it looked like Jax was also enjoying the physical contact and what it meant, but then something switched and he started panicking. So the question is, can Pomni actually save Jax, or is trying to help him gonna end up destroying her too? Because we saw what happened when she tried to connect with him after they had a great time during the adventure. He completely lashed out and pushed her away, and if Pomni doesn't respect his boundaries and she goes after him, demanding more answers or context, maybe he's gonna pull her down too and destroy her, just like how Ragatha said that he was corrupting her.
Getting close with Pomni. To corrupt her?
And like, Jax is in such a dark place right now that he genuinely believes that getting close to people is what causes them to abstract. So in his mind, pushing Pomni away isn't him being cruel, it's him trying to protect her from ending up like Kaufmo and Ribbit, or maybe he is trying to save himself from the trouble of getting close and then losing someone eventually. But I think this is exactly why Pomni is gonna be a bit distant at first and try to talk to Ragatha about Jax's past, like how he lost his friends or what really happened to him. And maybe this is how we're gonna learn more about him, and not by Jax opening up himself, but through other people's memories and experiences. Because Ragatha has been in the circus longer than anyone except Kinger, and she probably knows way more about what happened to Kaufmo and Ribbit than she's letting on right now. And maybe there was also a history of Jax and Ragatha, because Ragatha also said,
I think I might have failed Pomni. Just like I failed Jax.
and if Pomni is really determined to help Jax, she's gonna need to understand why he's so scared of connections in the first place. But here's where it gets complicated, because I think the other circus members are gonna try and warn Pomni about Jax and tell her that she shouldn't bother with him. Because even though I'm guessing that Jax wasn't always like this, I think that Ragatha tends to forget that. And yeah, I'm not saying that we should just forget about all the bad things that Jax has done, but the trauma he went through could explain a lot of things, and people can't heal or grow if they keep being defined by their mistakes. So yeah, it kind of feels like this is what Ragatha is doing, and she also believes that this is how she helps Pomni. And even Gangle and Zubo might tell Pomni that Jax is not worth fighting for, and that he was always like this, where he pushed people away, and that she should just focus on protecting herself instead of trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. But the thing is, Pomni kinda grew to care about Jax in the past 2 episodes, and she saw a side of him that maybe the others never got to see. So she's not gonna just give up on him because everyone else says it's hopeless. And I do think that Pomni is gonna be the one that keeps reaching out to Jax, even though she'll only find walls around him. Like, she's probably gonna try different approaches, maybe leaving a note for him or trying to catch him when he's alone. But what if Pomni is also getting closer to abstracting? Because we saw in episode 6 that it was sort of like she wanted to shoot herself, and even though that didn't mean that she would have died, the act of shooting yourself was so human. Like, it was this moment where she was thinking about self-destruction in a very real way, which is honestly terrifying when you think about what abstraction really represents. And when during their argument, Pomni said to Jax to fight her back, maybe she realized that despite Jax being violent all the time during the adventures, in a vulnerable situation like this, she can get through to him by being firm or confrontational. So maybe she'll try a different method next time, like maybe she'll approach him with more patience and understanding instead of trying to force him to open up. Because what Jax really needs isn't someone to fight him or argue with him about his behavior. What he needs is someone who's gonna sit with him in his darkness without trying to immediately fix everything. But here's what's really scary about this whole situation. If Pomni keeps trying to save Jax and he keeps pushing her away more and more violently, she might start to spiral herself. Like, she might start thinking that she's not good enough to help anyone. Or worse, she might start believing that maybe Jax is right and nothing really matters. And if that happens, then instead of Pomni saving Jax from abstracting, we might end up with both of them getting closer to losing themselves, which would be absolutely devastating for everyone in the circus. And since we don't really have any information about episode 7 like we did about the previous episodes where Gooseworks shared which episode is gonna be about which character, well, episode 7 is a complete mystery, so for all we know, maybe it's gonna be a flashback episode where we could see Kaufmo and Ribbit and maybe even Queenie while they were actual characters and not abstractions, and then we could see how they were, like were they actually friends with Jax and maybe even Ragatha, and what went down between them. I think it would be a super cool way to really dig deeper into the history of the circus and the characters and how they changed since they first spawned in. But maybe it's also possible that Pomni is gonna get into the mindset that Jax was kind of pushing onto her in episode 6, where he said that nothing really matters in the circus and Pomni shouldn't worry about shooting her friends. So maybe Pomni is gonna slowly become more like Jax, and maybe unconsciously. But then that would also change the dynamic of the whole group. Like, just imagine Ragatha realizing that Jax's effect was rubbing off onto Pomni. She would literally lose it. But if Pomni wouldn't be available to help Jax, then maybe Kinger is gonna step up, and just like how he was there for basically everyone at this point and help them through their struggles, maybe it's possible that he could also help Jax somehow. Like, maybe Jax is gonna get caught off guard by Kinger's wisdom in the dark, and that could push him to open up. And maybe I'm being too optimistic here, but it would be a full circle moment. Though I think there's a possibility that Pomni's determination to help Jax might actually be exactly what he needs. And not because she's gonna magically fix all his problems, but because she's showing him that someone cares enough to not give up on him even when he's at his worst. Like, maybe the reason Kaufmo and Ribbit abstracted wasn't because Jax corrupted them, but because they didn't have anyone who was willing to fight for them when they started to lose themselves. And now Pomni could be different and actually fight for him. And you know what? Maybe that's gonna be enough. Maybe seeing someone care about him that much is gonna crack through all those walls he built up. Or maybe it's gonna make him even more desperate to push her away because he's so terrified of losing someone else. But either way, Pomni trying to help Jax is probably gonna force both of them to confront some really deep stuff about themselves and what it means to be human in a place where humanity is supposed to be forgotten. But the question is whether Pomni can reach Jax before he completely abstracts, and whether she can do it without losing herself in the process, because honestly, saving someone who's determined to destroy themselves might be the most dangerous thing she could possibly try to do in the digital circus. But let me know what you think. Can Pomni actually save Jax from abstracting, or is trying to help him gonna end up destroying both of them? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.